Thank you so much for staying tuned to this frequency and welcome to, yes, the program Africa Discourse. I am Wilson on Marshall. Longer news that COVID-19 or coronavirus is ravaging the globe. It's a pandemic and many sectors are affected one way or the other. Well, today is all about the fight against terrorism amidst COVID-19. Yes. In some parts of our country, you get to hear some killer headsmen committing havoc. If you go outside the shores of Nigeria, African countries, how are all these terrorist groups functioning? Are they still carrying out their nefarious activities? What are the security forces doing? They have enough power to repel the devastating effect of the terrorists amidst COVID-19. If you go to Libya, go to Ivory Coast, go to Mali, even in Cameroon, Nigeria, you just name it, Central African Republic, Sudan, South Sudan, same old story. The fight still going on, or it has reduced. With me here in the studio, I have a lecturer, Jimmy, to welcome Comrade Frank Amigo. Comrade, welcome to Africa Discourse. Namaste. So no more handshake, just something like great. And still very close to Comrade Frank is a very vibrant youth, a political analyst. Journey to welcome Salvation Anambra. Welcome
Thank
to Africa Discourse. Namaste.
Yeah.
So
Viewers.
here we are. COVID-19 is still ravaging the globe. Though some persons have been able to almost come on top of the situation, but is still persisting. The fight against terrorism, let's focus in Africa amidst COVID-19. How do you see it this time?
The present situation in Africa is a little bit funny, though very, very serious, in the sense that we'll be trying to battle against insurgency, and we have never gone far. And the next thing we are seeing is another form of war. One war to the other. I used to know about a saying in English that one good turn deserves another. Is it a bad turn now deserving another? I don't know. We are not through with militancy, and now we are entering the next war, COVID-19. So what I see there, the various groups fighting for one thing or the other, the Islamic sects fighting. I think a lot of them are also scared of COVID-19. But in the midst of that fear, they're also very happy. That is the best time to strike. Now that everybody is trying to run away to maintain social distancing, and everybody is trying to be careful not to contract the virus, I think they're even out now to fight more. That was about the middle of last month. They killed some 92 soldiers in Chad. And Chad, at the point bordering Nigeria and Niger Republic. And they are fighting. In Somalia is another thing entirely. And in the Democratic Republic of Congo, to them, this is the best time to strike. So they are in the midst of fear. It's just like your enemy is complaining about chest pain. Oh, better for you. So this is the best time to strike. So with the COVID-19, they are not relenting in their fight. They are not.
They are not relenting in their fight.
They are not.
Salvation, do you share the same view?
I must say it's talking about terrorism and COVID-19 is a very important issue that African leaders must really, I know our attention now is on COVID-19, but understanding the nature of jihadist group. Most all jihadist group, they are opportunistic. They take advantage. The strength of every jihadist group is chaos, disorder. Whenever they even rise, for example, in Somalia, Al-Shabaab came up when there was power vacuum. If you go to Iraq, you see that it was during the fight of Saddam Hussein. Terrorist group, because that's their breeding ground. Whenever you have chaos, whenever you have disorder, it's always a right time for terrorist groups to come up, because at that time it's easier to brainwash people. They take advantage of, so this is their best time. That is why even while this coronavirus is taking our attention, if we allow it to collect all of our attention, what the terrorists will do to us. Actually, how many people, okay, we are talking of Chad now, the 23rd or 24th of March, 92 soldiers were killed by terrorists. How many people has the coronavirus killed in Chad? Terrorism has killed 92. Coronavirus has not killed up to 10 people in Chad. So that tells you that while we are fighting coronavirus, we have another virus that is as bad as coronavirus, who would always want to take opportunity of this. So it's not that whether they win, this is their best time. What the Chad president said when they lost 92 soldiers, I listened to him, he said this is their worst attack in history.
Their worst attack in history.
That's what he said, for terrorism. So that tells you that this is the time. Boko Haram, I don't know if you know that the same day that they attacked Chad, that same day Mali was attacked by another terrorist organization. 24 soldiers were killed. Nigeria, so this is the time terrorists are waiting for, because they maximize it in various ways. There are two ways terrorists always maximize such situation of chaos. Number one, they use their narrative. For example, when a pandemic like this spread, if it spread around their Islamic environment, what do they say? They interpret it like, well, it is the West that brought it. They use it to blame the West. When they blame the West,
but not all of them. I'm talking about
the jihadists. I'm talking of
okay,
jihadists.
Fine.
Jihadists. When if the pandemic spreads around their Muslim environment, what they use, how they turn it is, they blame the West for bringing such a pandemic to them and use it to create hatred for new recruits and to justify their actions. That's how they use chaos to do it. It's either they are using it to add to their narratives, or they are using it as oppression. No, because the danger we are in is the jihadists, these guys, they know that we are distracted now. And whenever you are distracted is the best time for the enemy to strike.
All right. Whenever you are distracted, the best time for the enemies to strike. You're talking about fundamentalists right now. They form the bunch of the terrorists. But there's this report by UN. They are like warning countries that due to the outbreak of this virus is going to shrink their security forces. Is that what is happening right now in Africa? Hence, the great loss suffered by countries when talking about their military or their security forces.
Exactly. Even US, British soldiers have been asked to come back. A lot of other countries have been trying to help out all this while. As my colleague here said, that was one of the ways they just brainwash their own people. So if the virus is affecting more of their people, they will blame it on the enemies of Islam. Then if you also reverse it, the second leg of that is, if the virus is now more in on the side of non-Muslims, they might attempt to be is God, their own God that is fighting.
But for not almost, we should try to make this plain. They are fundamentalists.
Yes.
Islamic fundamentalists.
Fundamentalists.
Yes.
So the withdrawal of some of these troops by some countries that have initially attempted to help out is further going to empower the Islamic fundamentalists right now. So what that translates to is to further empower these guys to fight more. That's on one side. On the other side, we begin to imagine that the attention, let's say in Nigeria for instance, money voted for security will now be removed. I want to fight COVID-19. So that can be referred to as allowable misappropriation. Money was already voted for security, and now discover that COVID-19 is another form of war. Let's take some money from that and move to health. And by that, you are reducing your fight against terrorism. So apart from various international organizations or even countries coming to help out in the fight against terrorism, the second thing that is happening now is not enough funding. In Chad, for instance, it's an oil-rich country, and what they are saying now is the price of crude oil has nosedived, and they may not be able to fund the fight against terrorism. And if you check it closely, in the whole of the Sahel, Chad appears to be the very country that is fighting much more than Nigeria fighting and other countries, the 5 of them. So now Chad cannot do that because oil price has crashed. So that will further affect the fight against terrorism.
Okay, now if you take a look at terrorist groups outside Africa, they're like warning their members, you know, to be social distancing and the rest of them, sanitize their hands, wash their hands. You saw the video right now. But when it comes to Africa, even Nigeria also, in the month of March, there was this great clash between the military and the Boko Haram insurgent that led to, you know, colossal loss of life from the military end and of course from the terrorist end. Now also in charge, they give a number of 92.
Yeah.
Do they have different mentalities? Because on the other hand, they are tended to be careful, social distancing, and it's like it has reduced a little bit. But in Africa, the case seems to be different. Why is it different?
What you need to understand about a jihadist group is this: the way you die matters to them. A jihadist group believes that if you die fighting, that's okay, that's holy war. Don't die from the disease. You need to be able to separate what they are sending, the message they are sending to their people. ISIS is not telling their people don't fight. They are telling them, you should know that an Islamic group, they want to die fighting.
But I tell you, please watch social distancing, wash your hands.
They are trying to tell you that,
your hands.
yes, their rule is, we don't want you to die from COVID-19, die from a suicide bomb. That's the idea they give them. You know, an Islamic group is not interested in defending the life of his people. They came there to die. So that they are fighting, that they are giving them advice for social distancing does not stop their war. If you read their message very well, they are saying, don't catch the disease. We need more soldiers. We don't want the disease to reduce our fighting force. But that doesn't stop their fight. That doesn't stop their evil intents and what they need to do. So that's the difference. So when I saw people celebrating that, I said, you don't understand. You think this is going to stop? We are talking of people who don't even respect Islam, who even in the midst of Islamic prayers, many of their prayers, their Ramadan, they still fight. And nothing stops them. They are just, the difference is maintain social distancing, but go and fight. The day you are fighting, you are free to, when you die, then you get your vengeance. But if you die by COVID-19, no version.
No, but this is not the message of all Islam. I'm talking about the terrorist group.
No, I'm
here.
talking of the jihadist group. Of course, that's what we're talking about.
All right.
That's what we're talking about.
All right. Now let's take a look at the military in African countries. Does it mean that they cannot cope with the pressure of COVID-19 when you want to relate it to a terrorist group that are fighting in various countries in Africa? Are they weaker right now?
Yes, the military in Africa, they are growing weaker because the next soldier is scared of his neighbor. As we all know it, the terrorists want to die fighting. It's a shame that for them that any of them will die because of COVID-19. It's shameful. So it's better to get your arms and ammunition and go fighting. But our own military men, they wouldn't want to die because of COVID-19. So they are maintaining the social distance. But in a war-like situation like this, social distance should not be a thing to think about at all. If you are considering social distance, maybe don't get too close. And your guy has been shot. Won't you carry him? We say, okay, we'll maintain social distance. I've not used my hand sanitizer. Let me quickly use it. Nobody's going to wait for you. If two persons are fighting and one ends up biting the other one, say, hey, fight today, you are fighting. So they don't care about what happens. What they are out for is to fight and to kill. They prefer the bullet killing them to the virus killing them. But they don't have any, in quote, they don't have any testimony to give that this troop died because of COVID-19. They prefer the Nigerian force kill them. They prefer to hear that. So what I see here, the Nigerian army is on the defensive, trying to protect themselves against contracting the virus, not knowing that the enemies are not interested in that. So there's no common ground for them to fight now. Before the advent of COVID-19, they could fight more, but now they are withdrawing. They don't want to die because of that, because one person has it in a group of, let's say, 50 soldiers, there's a likelihood that that is spreading in the next few days. And once that happens, they will not be able to fight again. They will not be scared. So there's fear in our camp. I mean, the Nigerian army camp. They are afraid of more of the disease than the insurgents.
All right. And as it stands right now, 92, and Chad is still trying to recover in other parts of Africa. They are having similar situation. Can one deduce that this is like a free day, so to speak, for terrorist group? Can one also deduce that this time around, the war against terrorism may suffer a heavy blow in Africa?
Well, I want to say that Africa has one of the best soldiers, army. Many of our grand soldiers are even better than the whites. The truth is, what the leadership, our system. I spoke to a soldier who fought over there. Of course, his word is not an authority, but what he says is what's investigating. We should look into what these people are saying. For example, the soldier I spoke to, they went to fight Boko Haram. He said many of them that went there, there were about 110, only 10 of them came back. And he was telling me, it's not an authority, but I'm saying these things can be looked into. He said, do you know that when many of them die, their generals don't even report it? That for many years, the generals collect the salary of dead soldiers. When a soldier, when he's not well motivated, why is the jihad is ready to die? He has been motivated. There is hope that has been given to him. That if you die, there's a reward somewhere. What is the motivation of the Nigerian soldier? If you look at the average Nigerian soldier that I have met, the day he joined the army, he was ready to die. The Nigerian army is, a Nigerian soldier is not afraid to die. The fear of the Nigerian soldier is that when he dies, what happens to his family?
What about the Italian soldier?
The African soldier. I'm talking of the average African soldier. What happens to his wife? What do you say of a soldier who knows that his friend has died? And the friend's wife, they are suffering. The children, they are suffering. What is his motivation? There are ways to motivate him. So what is killing our soldiers? Because he told me, he said many of them, some of them are discouraged. What their fear is just that we don't want to leave, because you know when you leave it's mutiny. So the leaders, the generals, the corruption in the army, our soldiers are ready for us. We have good soldiers. So let's go into, this is the time for us to see, we cannot continuously depend on outsiders. COVID-19 has taught us a lesson that a stranger cannot always help you. There will come a day of trouble. Everybody will answer his father's name. And that's what is happening in the world right now. US is answering their father's name. Everybody is on their own. If you did not build your system, you're on your own right now. And right now, America is taking their soldiers because of the COVID-19. Everybody is, we are now, finally, the hospitals we didn't want to build, we are using them now. The resources we did not have, we are using them now. So we need to come back home. I think this is an opportunity for us to have an overall look at our military. What is the level of corruption in that place? Are soldiers well? Are they motivated? How is their salary structure? And number two, what I want to say, like what is happening in Delta State, when we are using soldiers, because one of the danger we might have for this terrorism is using soldiers for this clampdown. Because when you use soldiers for clampdown, you are reducing soldiers that should be in the war front.
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
I'm coming to that, because that is the next question. Using soldiers to enforce the lockdown policy by government in various countries. Is that what is really affecting their performance right now in the fight against terrorism when we talk about Africa as a continent?
Well, personally, I'm not averse to deploying military in this time where we are fighting COVID-19. As we have been trying to establish so far, that the terrorists will take advantage of a chaotic situation like this. Everybody's trying to work out one way or the other on how to fight the disease. And knowing that at the back of our minds, the federal government now decided these persons may attack at any time. That's why they are asked to stay at borders. Like Edo Delta, you see soldiers, various states are locked down, you see soldiers all around. There might be another attack. And ordinary civilians cannot enforce that, not even the police, they can do that. So I don't see anything wrong with bringing soldiers, because at any time the terrorists may attack. So who is going to defend us against that kind of attack? So just as he said, corruption everywhere. You want to take advantage of the next situation. Soldiers not trying to bully civilians to the extent of killing somebody in Delta State. That wasn't the reason. The people are not the COVID-19. It's an organism, so to speak. So why kill a human being because of that? If you are telling us that in an attempt to protect that state, like Delta for instance, and you saw some militants coming, you killed them, that's a thing to talk about. Not to begin to fire on civilians harmlessly. So though they are coming into this kind of situation, is the right thing to do. I want to submit based on that.
All right. You just joined us. This is Africa Discourse. We're taking a look at what is happening in Africa. We're talking about the fight against terrorism amidst COVID-19. Yes, it's still ongoing. People are like asking with COVID-19 around the corner. Will the soldiers have maximum concentration in the fight against terror or terrorist groups? Or to be thinking about the pandemic, yes, caused by COVID-19? If you just join us, maybe towards the end of this discussion, just know that you can see us on our YouTube channel. All you need to log on to youtube.com/ITV Radio Benin. You get to see Africa Discourse and, of course, the fight against terrorism in Africa means COVID-19. Now, salvation is been talked so much about the fight against terrorism. Once upon a time, when terrorist groups started, in particular, climbing Africa, they were able to claim territories. Do you see them claiming territories right now due to this pandemic?
I think they have already claimed the territory. I don't know if it's in Somalia. There was an African country in the month of March where I think it's Mali, they took a place, I think Malaysia also. Then they hoist their flag. They already, because when they have such opportunity, they always want to advance. So it's very, very important. Yes, they will. If we don't, we need to learn how to, like, I want to say something about soldiers coming out, because if we use much of them, the responsibility of the army is to protect the territorial integrity of the nation. The soldier was not trained to deal with a civilian. Their temper is different. I think it's police that acts on breaking of law and order in a nation. If a state government or the nation puts a law that nobody goes out, the arm of the force that is responsible for handling breaking down of law and order is the police. It's not the army. I believe if that young boy in Warri dealt with a policeman, because the temper, if you have dealt with a soldier, you know this, the temper of a soldier was trained to have temper. A police was trained to be diplomatic. So when you bring, and you know us, the thing, people are hungry. Nigerians are stubborn. Of course, what that man did in Delta State was wrong. But what the soldier did, that's the temper of a soldier.
All right, so what about conquering more territories right now by the terrorists? By the terrorists.
Yes. Of course, they will want that. That's why what we need to do now is, that's where I'm going to. All effort, every of our soldiers. In fact, I believe we should have more soldiers at the war front right now. We should be more. We see many times in Africa we are reactive, we are not proactive. It must not happen before. We must be able to foresee. Now that we know that these terrorists will want to take advantage of this situation, we don't need to hear that 100 soldiers died first or in any African nation. I feel like we should prepare for the war before the war comes. So we should have more soldiers there, not in the town or harassing people.
All right, well, today's version is an abridged version because by 2 o'clock we will be joining lecturers to lecture students getting set for post-UTME. That is part of the ways to get them prepared for the exam. So all through this week, our current affairs program will be cut short by some minutes to give space for that lecture. Now, due to that reason, comrade, you be the one to give the last line on this discourse. Okay. All right, maybe after this pandemic is over, we'll come back to our normal our normal broadcast, and of course our normal 1 hour. We'll talk about issues bordering in African politics. Now, what advice do you have for the soldiers and of course government in Africa, because terrorism is like they're beginning to have a kind of an edge due to this pandemic? What do you have to say to them to encourage them at least?
Yes, the soldiers need to be encouraged. They should learn to be friendly. No matter the level of harshness that have been brought into them, they should be showing some level of civil lives. So I say insist they should be there because there is no war front. The warfare at Lokoja or Kaduna. So they invade villages. So that's the more reason soldiers should be around.
Protecting their territory. No matter the pandemic.
Protect the territory of Borno, protect the territory of Edo, protect the territory of Delta. Because there is no place called a war front in Nigeria right now.
Right.
So soldiers should learn to adjust to civil life.
All right, thank you so much, comrade Frank Amigo, and of course, Salvation Anambra. I appreciate a wonderful analysis. Well, the fight against terrorism rages on. Do your bit, no matter the pandemic. Man up, soldier up, and just keep fighting. And of course, victory is sure. Bye for now.